Hello, greetings, welcome, and assalamu alaikum. Today is December 31st, 2022, and my name is Mohammed Siddique from Suwannee, Georgia, and Atlanta, Georgia. If you are from overseas, I am from Atlanta, Georgia, USA, and my good friend, Dr. Bill Williams. He is also from Suwannee, Georgia, and Atlanta, Georgia, from USA. We are good friend. I trust him with my life. We go every day together for a walk, and we keep discussing virtually everything possible. You can name it. We discuss. I don't know about him, however, I trust him with my life. Bill, is that true?
Exactly true.
Yeah,
We work out together,
yeah.
walk and strategize business concepts. It's a mutual benefit to have a friend that you can confide in and talk about things that are business and personal related.
Yeah. So today's topic it's not about how many successes we have generated in our life. You know what? Somebody is successful one time, they probably failed easily 10 times, 9 times out of 10. So we decided to talk about top three failures in business. Yes, it makes us vulnerable. However, who cares? Let's be authentic. So Siddique, when he made $1, he probably failed at 9 times already. And Bill, what's your ratio? 9 out of 10, like one out of 10, or like what's your ratio? Mine is probably easily 1 out of 10.
The key is if you get out of your lane and you get into places you don't know much about, your failure rate goes way up. And so some of the things that we'll talk about today are operating outside your sphere of experience and knowledge.
So we decided to share top three failures. I'm going to share my top three failures, and Dr. Bill is going to share his top three failures. Doctor, you are my guest, and this is our shows where you are guest to each other. You go with your number one failure in business.
Okay, let's start with the major thing that I did, and that I'm a dentist. Okay, 46 years I've been in dentistry, and I've sold my practice 3 times. And so I want to describe the learning curve that I went through in sales of my practice. The first time I sold my practice, I did it in a way that backfired. Second time, I learned a lot, but it was not perfect. Third time was a winner. So the failure that I want you to learn from is this. You can't always trust a broker to bring the best deals to you. The most qualified buyer may not be the one that you should choose because the broker's getting his money up front. And who stands to lose in a deal that's not structured properly? And so the whole thing is proper structure. Now, I had a practice that I had built for 15 to 16 years. I was ready to sell it and move to a new area. And I went through a broker and they got their full commission. We did the transaction. And 2 years into the sale, I was kind of blindsided by the fact that the buyer decided to walk. And so that put me in a bad spot because what did I do? I did a for sale by owner finance deal. And so I learned right there that if you want to make a big transaction, you need an arm's length situation where you can't have it come back on you if the person decides to walk out on the deal, even 2 years later. And so fortunately, I was working down the number of years in my practice and the number of days I worked, and I was going to work 3 years before I turned it over to him fully. And it got into the second year, and I realized he wasn't making the payments. He was going through a divorce. He was addicted to drugs because of an injury to his back, and he was hooked on codeine. And He started writing his own prescriptions, which was a violation of the DEA codes. They took away his prescription license, and things just kept falling further and further downhill for the individual that bought my practice. And eventually, he couldn't afford to take care of his obligations, and I had to take the practice back. So my movement to a new area was delayed by many years because I had to resurrect the practice. I had to build it back up to its former value, which was very high. And then I had to look for another buyer. My takeaway from all this is don't do owner financing. Make it where you have an arm's length transaction so that you can walk away from a deal once you have made the deal and struck the agreements. Siddique, that's a huge one for dentists, because we only have one or two of those transactions in a lifetime. And it's often putting decades of our work at risk.
Yeah.
So let's hear about your top failures.
No, this is amazing. Thank you for being vulnerable. How does it feel to being vulnerable in front of everyone? In fact, in front of strangers from all around the world, that you're sharing publicly your failure. How does it?
Well, I look at it this way, Siddique. I've saved somebody from a lot of misery just if they took that advice. And my failures, I overcame them. My failures led me to do better the next time and then the next time. So I learned from my failures, and those who fail to learn from the past tend to repeat the mistakes. And hopefully, hearing the mistakes, you will not repeat them yourself.
Yeah, no, thank you so much sharing. My number one failure, not in terms of the amount, not in terms of everything, is that I'm originally from Pakistan. In case Dr. Bill, you don't know, people who are watching, your friends are watching it too. My own person back home is a $15,000 software development little project, and I paid him through credit card to develop a software to do a marketing on Twitter. I'm talking about a few years back, maybe 10 years ago, approximately. So he says, you have to pay me everything upfront. If you don't pay me, I can't develop this one. Smart guy, he sold me into that mindset. I paid him in advance. And then here's the best part. It came from a reference through the person I trust with. The person he came from, I won't mention the full name. I want to protect the innocent. So his name starts with R, and the person he referred it to, who was my direct, it's my fault, 100%. I'm not blaming anybody for anything. His name started with A. So just, so in case I have to go back, I can fill in the remaining things. So, and then, of course, I put a little milestone. You do this, you do this, you do this. Then suddenly, after a month, when the first milestone came in and nothing delivered, then second milestone came in, nothing delivered, little progress, not. Eventually, within 3 months, I saw I have been scammed. Then I asked him, hey, it's okay, you couldn't deliver it. Why not you give my money back? He said, what money? It's a middle finger, F, M, all those good stuff, People do it when they say, hey, you are stupid. I say, oh, really? Thank you. Why you paid me for money in advance anyway? You do whatever you like to do. It's like a threat, whatever. I'd never really take those things seriously that way. And at the end, I got my money back. 100%. Not even a dollar lost. How? Because I paid him through American Express and a merchant account. If people don't know online payment acceptance, I had a chargeback 1-year policy protection in place. So within a 1 year, if I don't get this delivered from this party, I will get my money back. I got my money back instantly almost, maybe a day or two. Then on the other side, because now American Express are going to recover that money from him, guess what? They're going to blacklist him so he can't even accept money from anybody anywhere in the world and cancel his merchant account. Dr. Belli, you know the impact of canceling the merchant account. People say go after their money. They went after their money. And then he started threatening me. Of course, he had my contact information, calling me on my numbers, threatening all that good stuff. And he will leave me a voicemail, call me, missed calls, 24/7, almost call, and then using abusive language. Hey, I'm going to come. I have a British passport. I'm going to come to US and I'm going to see you at your door. All that. So all the calls were recorded. Of course, all the voice messages were recorded. All the 24/7. He was. I've never got really upset. Here's what I did with him. When he has the voicemail recorded, we had a little computer system. Hey, I have IT degree, so computer calls him back when he say hello. He says Siddique is calling back. It's not me. He's calling from the same number. However, it's not me. The moment he picks up the phone, whatever the junk he left in my voicemail, he will hear that back himself.
Sweet.
Yeah. Here's the lesson. Never get upset. Whenever you do a deal, even though I had a potential to lose, I do a little small milestones. So that way you can smell the issue problem child as soon as you can. In idea, if I do it all over again, I will pay him in a small increments as the milestones are delivered. So I will not lose $15,000. I didn't lose it, just my rule number one is never invest, never do any money with anywhere if you can't recover from. I do not do it. It has been a long time. The credit goes to my T. Cathauser, my mentor, who passed away 4 years ago. That's my little. So don't do anything if you can't recover from that. And worst case scenario, if you lose it all, still you have a life. That's the next thing. Don't put everything into one basket. If I only had that $15,000, I would not have done that deal. Okay. Dr. Bill, your second failure.
I want to tell you about my second group of failures because they all kind of have a pattern. And so, if you're successful and you make a good income, you can save some money, right? And you have money to invest. Well, this is a story of investing in all the wrong places. IPOs back in the 80s and 90s were especially attractive, it seemed, but I got into so many of them that turned out to be rabbit trails that never went anywhere. I think I might have gotten into 12 or 15 IPOs, different companies that were starting up, big promises, big ideas, and every one but two of them went totally away, and I lost 100% of the money I've invested. Well, the two that I did have some return on investment didn't do much better. They kind of hung around for 10, 15 years, not paying out any dividends or anything. And then when they finally did pay back, it was half of what I had invested. And we had a loss of time and earning power for that money over a period of that 10 or 15 years. So we're talking about very little income received in return, no ROI at all. IPOs are corporate people looking to take advantage of a lot of people, in my opinion, because it happens so frequently that if you're a person who's a general investor, you're never going to win for the most part with IPOs, because the only people that win are the initial stockholders that are at the top of the food chain, and the people that come in second, third, and fourth, they hardly ever see anything as a result. My personal experience anyway. So I would say when you're looking to put money that you invested into a place, make sure you have at least 51% control. Make sure that you have personal knowledge of the situation, and it's not what somebody's telling you. Be an expert in the field. At least work with experts to vet what you're talking about. And if you rely on the person who's making the connection as the only source of vetting, then you're probably making an unwise decision. That's the IPO story. I did it so many times, and I think there's probably something that many people have repeated many times over the years. And you could probably feel comfortable in saying your money was enjoyed by somebody else, not yourself. It's probably true.
Thank you so much. So you did that how many times?
I'm sure 10 or 15.
Okay, Bill,
Yeah,
can I say publicly? If you do this, repeat the same mistake again.
I was, yeah, the problem is you always believe somebody has a better story.
Okay.
Believe your advisors, you believe your friends. In the end, nobody is the expert except somebody who's in that business. And just because an accountant brings you something, you say it looks like a good deal, you need to vet it.
Okay, so if you want to know more about Dr. Bill Williams, here you go. That's his website, newly developed by our good team member Kasser Aziz and Dr. Bill Williams.tv. And Dr. Bill is a host of Influencer podcast. If you have more than zero influence in your life and you have a positive story to share to empower others, you probably can apply for being a guest on his podcast. You have to have a more than zero influence. At
Hey,
least you have a one person following you, and your story has the impact to potential to impact large amount, and he want to talk to you. That's
Siddique,
it. Yeah.
Siddique, just yesterday, I interviewed a young lady that had 1,500,000 followers on YouTube.
Mhm.
And she asked me, how do you monetize that group? And I was like, that's the exact question that I would hope somebody would ask me, because we know how to monetize influencers. So what a good segue into people looking at drbillwilliams.tv.
Yeah.
If you want to be on the influencer podcast
Mhm.
and you're an influencer, give me a call.
Yeah. Just go on drbillwilliams.tv, and there's a one more, don't go away. We are talking about a third failure. That's probably the best one. Is that right, Doctor?
That's my worst loss. I guess that's what I'll tell. Yeah.
We can only laugh at ourselves. The world is laughing already. Just join the party. Here is my second failure. In fact, that was from someone in US, and American young boy. I would say a person of your color, Dr. Bill. I'm not discriminating anybody, but scammers are everywhere in every nation and everywhere. Is that right, Dr. Bill?
Yeah, everywhere.
Okay, so I was creating a Skype marketing tool. The old days, good old days when the Skype was a really good one, and I tried, and then I thought I'm not really good at creating that tool, and I went into the marketplace where people have so many Skype marketing tools, and I liked one. And by nature, I like to maintain the relationship, even though I may or may not buy something from you. I still will keep the open line of communication. And I always tell you that, oh, I'm not going to go with you because blah blah blah. And then I told him I'm going with this your competitor. Right now your tool is missing these few things, which is a very high priority for me, and I'm going to buy it. Then he thought, oh my God, I lost a deal. Young boy, didn't really know much about business. I have been stupid many times in my life, and that was probably his stupid moment in his life. And he says, Siddique, if you are a scammer, he kind of put me on a blame libel thing in the US. Like, you can't really blame somebody for which he has not done it anything. If you do buy their tool, I'm going to send this message which has all, hey, Siddique is a scammer. Don't buy anything from me. Don't deal with him. Don't do business with him. Blah blah blah. I'm going to send it to my whole list, which is being tens of thousands of people. And if you buy this, that's almost like a threat. I told him, I say, hopefully you understand all this, the impact of what you're trying to do. If you do this, I'm going to follow law to the dot. That really mean is, I'm not threatening you to do in exchange, don't do this at all, but understand the consequences of this, because this will impact me in the marketplace, and you will pay the price as per law says. I'm not saying anything myself. So he sent to few people, then he sent to a large number of people, and because being a very small world, some number of people send me, hey, Siddique, I know you for that long. You're not scammer. This guy is saying about you. I said, just send me the message. They forward me those messages. Now I got the proof. This guy has done it actually, not only threatening me. So that's I then pass on to the attorney. Rest is history. And last time it was like a settled. He sold his grandma home. What I know, last known, I don't know where he is now. He was living in the Philippines because he could not afford to live in the US. Out of business, of course, that's a standard way. So don't do this. What I learned, I don't know what I could have avoided. And they try to settle without any money because my attorney will do it on a contingency. That's another lesson. Go with the attorney on contingency. So that means when they collect money, they pay, they take certain percent, I take percent. In our case, it was a 50-50. So I made money on the bad deal too, by the way. Bill, I'm very dangerous on that side. So even though potentially they try to kind of destroy your name, I got money from that. That's not a good money. I really want to keep it. That's not, I really want to do it. Intentionally, I have a zero intentions on that side. However, once in a while, there's always the one in the room will show up in your life. Then deal with them accordingly as per law suggests. I'm not saying don't threaten them, even though they say MF, all those words, no need to respond. You need to play at your level. Their level is this level. Don't go to their level at all. They want to invoke you. They are good at that one. Do not respond to that one. Just follow the law, whatever it takes. And good attorney will do it. If you don't know, I will find you. Okay. I will make the introduction. So that's my second failure. Bill, third one is the best one. Always go for it.
Well, Siddique, you're always the master of the plan B. That means you always have a solution to a problem. You have an out to protect yourself. And that's why I have often said I wish I had known you 30 years ago, because I made a lot of mistakes with no plan B. I had to figure out plan B after the problem had already surfaced. And, you succeed in life by working harder and doing it better the next time, but you lose if you don't have a plan B. And so that's the lesson that I have picked up from listening to you talk about your failures is your failures never did hurt you so bad because of the plan B. Now, I didn't have a plan B for this one, but you're going to really enjoy hearing about it. In the 1990s, when the Soviet Union broke up, we had a group of entrepreneurs here in the United States that formed a company to go to the Soviet Union and take advantage of the economic opportunity that existed in the Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Russia. And we had 15 well-known entrepreneurs from around the United States gather in Atlanta and decide we would go to those countries and drill oil in Kazakhstan, build houses and apartments in Moscow, we started a lottery in the Ukraine. We did all these things. We went there, we began the process. We actually built houses and constructed the lottery. And everything was looking pretty good until it wasn't looking pretty good. And what we found was that the level of graft and corruption left over when the Soviet Union imploded turned against us, and we were not able to negotiate the level of bribes and the level of corruption it requires to deal in a country that's fallen apart. And what we found was that all of our investments eventually didn't turn into any profits. Now, I will say there was one bright spot to the entire thing is we got to travel and see the Soviet Union when it was breaking up. We got to enjoy meeting the people of Russia, Kazakhstan, and Ukraine. And we made wonderful friends. We saw things we never thought we would see. And that was kind of the benefit, but it was a very expensive type of an education, an expensive travel log to go to those places. When you raise a lot of money, you make a lot of promises, but you come home with nothing. And so the whole thing that I took from that was, again, stay in your lane, do what you know, and if things don't turn out, need to have a plan B to recover. And fortunately, my plan B was to go back to dentistry and become the best dentist I could be. And that really did turn out to be a blessing, because I eventually sold that initial practice that I mentioned earlier, and I moved to a new area called Swanee, where Siddique and I live. And I was able to grow my practice 4 or 5 times bigger than I had been in the previous place. And we became one of the United States top practices, and we recovered nicely from the venture into the world business. But it was all because I stuck to the knitting and did the thing that I knew best, which was dentistry. And I didn't go outside and try to do something that I was not an expert in. So Sadiq, it cost me the most of any venture I ever went into, but I probably had more fun because of it. So I'm not saying it was a total loss.
Very expensive lessons. Very expensive, huh?
Oh yeah, half a
So,
million dollars down the drain of my own personal money, I would imagine.
yeah.
And it was a fun time with a lot of hope. It's just that, you know, the inflation in the Ukraine killed the lottery, corruption in Moscow killed the home building and apartment building business, and Kazakhstan, we never really had enough capital to start drilling oil wells. All we could do was talk and couldn't do walk.
Yeah, wonderful. Bill, I have done a little loss too. So I had a retirement account called 401k in the US, and I'm sure the other countries have the same way, some kind of a retirement accounts. I had a balance sitting few $100,000. I don't remember the exact amount. It was more than 200,000 for sure, you know. So someone from Pakistani American came to our life. His name starts with A. A is a very special name in my case, you know. He's a sitting in a bank retirement account. It's not really doing much for you. We buy this business, you own it, and we do split whatever, that all the good stuff. And I was stupid. In fact, you can call it a complete idiot. I end up in investing with him in his corrupt mind. Okay. And everybody think I lost money. My wife says, "You stupid, blah, blah, blah." I said, okay, I got it. However, I have a rule number one, again, learned from my mentor, T. Cat Hauser: never ever invest money if you have no way of a solid, bulletproof way of recovering it. So and he was live, and I shared with him, here's what I plan to do. I said, you're a complete idiot. I said, yes, I am. Just tell me how I can actually secure this, you know. Brainstorming again. He will never give the answer. He will always ask me a question, so guide me to come up with the answer, so it becomes my answer, not his. That's a true mentor does. They never give you the answer. So few weeks of brainstorming, eventually there was answer. The guy name starts with A, Pakistani American, in Atlanta area. He already was in the process of acquiring some real estate gas stations. In Pakistan, it's called petrol pump. So here we call it a gas station in the US. So he had a 33% equity in those two stations. That's combined will be over $1 million. So we did the deal. Hey, in case you default this, my investment is retirement money, hard-earned money. I paid a damn every tax to save that money. You know, it's not easy to save money. Saving from your wife, don't spend it. That's hard too. It's not easy all the way. In exchange, if that ever happened, you do a quit claim deed, put an escrow account, that means with the attorney or someone, a third party, where I will get your equity in your two gas stations in the event that happen. I told him, I will be your last victim if you do it. And then later I found out, oh my God, not only me victim, there are many others. I knew most of them then later. Of course, then all the victims came together, 20, 30 people. I probably $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, multi-million dollars. It's not a small. Then, of course, we reported to the law enforcement authorities. Hey, this guy is scamming. Financial crime is really big in the US. And then, of course, they went after him, followed the law, and what? And last known, I got those two gas stations 33% equity on my hand. I made money 3x, 4x from that one, even in my worst deal. So, T Cat Hauser, I love you, man. You left so early. Now I'm almost empty 4 years, since 4 years, since then. We were brainstorming day and night, not only on that thing, everything I have to discuss with him. I cannot decide anything until he say yes to me, like give it the blessing. Hey, just go for it now. He saved me on that too. So I made money on my bus deals too. I never really lost money. Rare for me to lose money. I lost money on some other bad, stupid deals many times, and I let it go myself. Sometime I had a guy probably $250,000 on some other deal. I'm just giving a bonus, and he has very young kids, 2 years, 4 years, number of them. When I look at their kids, I say, let it go. Don't worry. Otherwise, I am always the last victim. I had all the options to go after him. I didn't do it. Why? Because family man, kids. If he doesn't think he did it wrong, just go over with it. No big deal. God has been so kind, so highly blessed. We are still here, and he is out of business on his own. Because once you do the wrong things to other people, I think that you believe in a God or not, you're watching this. There's some higher power keeping all things together. I'm a person of faith. I'm a Muslim, and Dr. Bill is a person of faith too, and he can say about himself who he is. And there's some higher power is keeping things in balance check. Dr. Bill, is that right?
That's right, Siddique. You're the master of Plan B, and I'm a strong Christian. I believe in doing the right thing and taking care of your neighbor, being the one who is not going after people so much, but holding people true to their standards that we set. There's more to it than just business. There's the higher power that gives us the authority to really hold people accountable and to give them grace when they fail, but also expect the right thing to be done at the right time. If
Yeah.
you serve people, the money comes. That's one of the things that we know. And so doing the right thing at the right time for the right reason can't be anything better for doing business in the world. And the more you do good for other people, the more blessing you're going to have coming upon yourself.
Wonderful. Dr. Bill, you got the last word. And people who want to outreach to Dr. Bill Williams, drbillwilliams.tv is the website. Look around. He has a very interesting guests, shares cool content, meeting new people every day all around the world. So you get the last word.
It's good to be here, Siddique. Always learn from you as we walk the trails of Suwanee, Georgia. Working out at the gym, listening to your wisdom. I hear TCAT in the background. Every time you're speaking, I hear the wisdom that's passed down from one generation to another. And it's always good to have a mentor. It's always good to have people surrounding you can bounce ideas off so that you can make yourself a better person every day.
Yeah, become a better person every day. Thank you so much again, Mohammed Siddique from Atlanta, Georgia, and Dr. Bill Williams from Atlanta, Georgia as well. Atlanta Square, Georgia Square, Swanee Square, whatever you call it. And in case you ever care to outreach to me, my site is Mohammed Siddique, meetsiddique.com. Facebook, everywhere is a Meet Siddique, social media, anywhere. Outreach to us. If you want to know even more failures, we probably have something to share with you. However, it's not about the failure. It's about the lesson you learn. So that way you can learn from our mistakes instead of going that mistake. We're all going to fail. The wise people learn from other people's mistakes, and stupid people learn from their own experience. That's the only difference. You are going to learn from the experience anyway. I rather learn from the other person's experience than doing it myself and paying a huge price. With that, God bless you and your family. And thank you so much. And this because today is the last day of 2022. Happy New Year. Happy, happy, happy.
remember, Happy New Year. And if it's been done, it's probably possible.
Thank you.